Thank you for joining us on this journey through the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Infinity Saga. This is your one and only spoiler warning for any of the movies in the saga. If you have a strong desire to see any of the movies before hearing about them from two regular Dans, turn this off now and go watch those amazing pieces of cinema. Then come back here and listen to our take, because we have a lot of interesting takes. We always discuss the current movie, but the stories here are so interwoven it's almost impossible not to talk about the future movies in the franchise. So, again, this is your one and only spoiler warning for any of the movies in the Infinity Saga of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is also your one and only adults-only content warning. Our aim is never to offend or alienate, and everything we say should be taken with a grain of salt. Please refrain from taking offense to our comedy. We're just here to discuss the current movie and have fun. Enjoy!
I thought we were doing a test.
When I didn't, I was just looking at the levels, but now we're doing an actual test. So we're testing now. Looking this way, looking this way, up and down, looking down, up and right.
Looking up, looking down. Leaning back like a dickhead.
Leaning back, leaning forward. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, what? How are ya?
I am fantastic.
That's great. You know what time it is? It's discussing Dan's time. That's right. You were right on the money. So we are here as entertainment and you. How pop culture shaped your world. Our mission statement is to keep a vague and open dialogue about how science fiction has affected pop culture as viewed through the eyes of two Dans in their 30s and 40s. No topic is too off topic, and no opinion is wrong. Today we are on episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of our journey in the Infinity Saga. This one's called Thor: The Dark World, which came out in 2013, directed by Alan Taylor. It's just it's a fun name to say. Alan! I think that's from Bob's Burgers, but it's just fun to say. So we get introduced early to our our alien cast of characters.
Elf. You can just specify the species.
Dark elf, yes, to our first dark elf, looking at some kind of, I don't know, the redstone. It's a gobbledygook mercury-esque substance floating around, and there's battles and.
Yeah, we don't know exactly why the red stone decides to describe itself as a floating
viscous
liquid.
Yeah, it's undetermined, but we get some early exposition about the Asgardians fighting the Dark Elves and their...
which baffles me even further. Like I say, the Thor's father, Bor, whole thing.
Yeah, so this is Bor. They confirm it later in the movie.
His laser staff comes in, just mows down the field. Yeah, I mean, so the story is like the galaxy was filled with terrible monsters, one of which was the Dark Elves, and Bor laid down the no-nonsense with his super spear, and Odin finished the job enough to create Asgard, then later Thor, and then Thor later in this movie settles the 9 realms.
Yeah.
He brings peace to the 9 realms, so pretty effective family.
Yeah,
say.
Pretty. Their lineage is all about conquest, to say the least.
Taming, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Odin later says, "What happened to the Dark Elves? We killed them all."
Yeah.
He's not very.
He's very. The difference between Thor and Thor 2, Odin, is like night and day. He's very aggressive and like standoffish, and I don't know, it just seemed like in the first one he was more encouraging and he wanted his son to not be such a dope and learn his lesson, so he sends him off to find out, the rule of humility.
Yeah, in Thor 1 he had one outburst, which was really cool when he goes to Heil to Loki when he starts talking some smack or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. But in this movie, he has like 2 outbursts.
He's got like 4.
4 outbursts?
Yeah, he gets angry often in this one.
The Heil part in Thor 1 was definitely, I would say, one of the highlights of Thor 1. Anthony Hopkins, to me, is just fantastic.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
perfectly cast as Odin.
Yeah, right? I I don't even think that he was particularly forming a word when he said whatever he said. It was more of just a guttural response of
just shut up,
and that people listened to, which, I mean, it was just silencing. He did it. You know what I mean? It was
classic Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, so I think they might have leaned into this by turning it into four of his outbursts, or at least, I mean, probably around 4. I don't know. If it was
Yeah, well, he just seemed more gruff around the edges. Like, he wasn't supportive of Thor going after Jane Foster. He didn't want him, what does he say, like, pandering to, I forgot to bring my notes out. He didn't want him, like, pandering to some earthly creature that's only going to live a blink of an existence of their lifetime. Yeah. And he was very, like,
dismissive of his Midgard fascination.
Yeah. And, so what do you think he was doing between Avengers and this? Because Thor, because he makes brief mention that he's been going throughout the 9 realms and silencing, like, or speaking to naysayers or something of that sort.
I think the insinuation there is that when Odin caused an upheaval on Midgard by leading an alien species into them and causing havoc, that there was, I don't know, more monsters that were ready to attack across whatever 9 realms he's talking about.
Yeah.
And because Odin says that Thor is working hard to correct what you've done. So I think the New York invasion caused havoc around the galaxy, and Thor has gone to many worlds. You know, I got to say, it sounds like it's probably some of the worlds that Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, later is also helping.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, there are obviously, like, the Krill and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting to see that Thor has, because we do see Hogan is one of his friends that is played by Tadanashi Asana.
He leaves him there to safeguard the planet. That's right.
Yeah, he says, but that's one of the the last realm that he was clearing.
Yeah.
Before he returned to Asgard. And I think that there was maybe a scheduling conflict with that guy. You know, they were going to pay him for the rest of the movie, but
he was out.
Yeah, he was no longer in the group.
Well, they also recast the French the English guy.
Yeah,
he's played by Shazam. The same guy who does Shazam. And in that spy show where he's like a bumbling spy.
No.
Yeah, that's the same guy.
No.
Yeah. Teresa pointed it out, and I did the same thing.
Levy.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
He's in this one, and he's in Thor 3. I mean, he dies right away in Thor 3. But
they dressed him up.
Yeah, he's in both of these.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I know. He's got quite a few lines in this one.
And a lot of makeup or hair.
They definitely dyed his eyebrows and gave him a wig. Probably eyebrow wigs, because he looks weird. But yeah.
Yeah, he does look weird.
But yeah, they recast him.
Cast him.
I know. I didn't notice it at first, and then Teresa was like, "Oh, that's Shazam!" I was like, "What?"
I have not seen Shazam.
Oh, it's pretty good.
I want to see it.
DC does good, plucky superhero comedy, I will say.
Awesome.
You remember, like, the funny parts in Suicide Squad?
Right.
Stretch it out over, like, an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So I thought the bad guy that Thor, spins his hammer around and hits.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is it the same species as Korg?
It is.
Okay, that's what I figured. He just seems like a dullard.
He does, yeah, with the
compared to the really smart Korg. I might just be a pile of rocks, but I'm a living, being.
Right. Yeah. No, they're a whole species, and I believe the story was that they were mostly destroyed. Like classic. Species.
Easily, from the looks of it. He just spins up his hammer and
I don't think
turns him into rock chum.
In the making of this movie that they were thinking they were going to bring another one in.
Probably not. Yeah, because he definitely is a downplayed, like, troll-like character.
Yeah, it is him. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
They covered his face with his bangs.
Yeah, in the beginning, because he's in battle. But, yeah, you'll see towards the end when he's got his hair pulled back, he's more... You can definitely tell it's Levy.
Yeah, I could see how he would... To be honest, he's actually a good actor for the role.
Yeah.
Except for his dark hair.
Yeah. He's got the really dark hair.
which that shouldn't really matter very much, but they made him blonde in the first movie. It's weird.
Maybe Asgardians dye their hair. That's what they should have gone with. He's just leaving black hair. I shaved my mustache and I have black hair now.
Yeah, but yeah, blonde is so in that immortal creatures are blonde are dyeing their hair to fool their neighbors. Crazy, but believable. I don't know. Yeah, it's a revelation to me that it's Zachary Levi in this, and that is, I gotta say, his most unnoticed role.
I was gonna say same thing. I had no idea it was him until Teresa pointed it out. And speaking of that word you just said, that means looking at something again. I don't remember. Speaking of that, rewatching Thor 2, I like it. Just like one stamp,
as we mentioned
thumbs
in
up.
Our previous, we had not watched it before, so I've been prepping for this. I've watched it twice. And I gotta say, I did like it. I didn't find it as bad as I had thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, it didn't move me like some of the other movies. I just kind of like accepted what was happening and just watched it unfold.
I think the most common thing that I've heard about it is that it had a one-note enemy. It was very
I'm the bad guy.
Predictable.
I want to use the thing to destroy everybody.
I gotta say, though, for me, I liked it when Foster wakes up the ether in the convergence-induced portal to wherever
that it was
Bohr
housed.
had buried it.
Yeah.
Which, weird. They said that Bohr said to bury it where no one would find it. But how did it get from burying it to where no one would find it to capture it between two large
Maybe it's
stones?
Maybe it's a 10th realm.
Ooh. Maybe it's
unspecified. Yeah.
You know what? We're making this up.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. We're making ourselves feel better about it.
It's all fictional.
But so the movie basically starts out with the dark elves.
I really liked that when they did wake up, and by the trigger of the ether being woken up, it woke up from a stasis pod in a spaceship in deep space.
I made a note about that.
I really like that.
Yeah.
I thought that is
even at the end of the battle with Bohr, they show the ship like flying away. I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's like some Ragnarok shit.
Right?
And when they show it, like you said, so as they progress through the movie, Foster finds it somehow, and it activates him. And it was pretty cool.
In studying up a little bit on the movie, I researched a little bit about Malekith, and he's got a lot of magic abilities, and he has in the comics way more personality, powers, history, and
he just seems like a dude in this one.
I think Eccleston delivered.
Oh, is that who played him?
Yeah, it was Christopher Eccleston, the guy who did like Doctor Who. He's done other things. He's a really good actor. But they covered him in a lot of makeup and gave him alien speech to give, which is a very confusing way to hire a very prolific actor.
Yeah.
We're going to cover your face, and then we're going to tell you to not speak any recognizable speech.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like this was...
Bring as much as you can to this, please.
Yeah, I feel like this was them trying to sprinkle in some Ragnarok, like more of what Ragnarok did, where Thor 3 leaned into it heavily. The space, the different worlds, the Asgardians are basically aliens type of thing.
I'll say that Ragnarok leaned into the absurdity.
The absurdity of all, but they also brought that plot point along with it, that the Asgardians are basically also other spacefaring creatures along with all the other weird Jeff Goldblum-y type of people. Right. So this movie, after rewatching it and having seen all the others, makes me feel better about it. And I don't think I'd seen it all the way through, but I had seen like bits and pieces, and I remember brushing it off.
Yeah, you know what? That is a really good point. Like, having seen Ragnarok and the alienness and the spaceshipness that is involved in a space-based, out from our Earth and in the space, you'd imagine that they have spaceships. So that actually,
and they're shaped like long ships, like Viking long ships. That's pretty cool.
But I wonder if at the time of its release, because it was so negatively received, that the inclusion that the Dark Elves were spaceship bearing, people, might have I imagine was very confusing to people.
Yeah.
Like, why do they have to come from a spaceship? How did they get to this point to where they can create spaceships, but we're fighting with Bohr?
Yeah, exactly.
It brings up a lot of questions. I agree.
Yeah, but after seeing all the spacefaringness,
Right.
you're like, oh, okay, this
Right.
is just the way things are.
Right. Well,
It's pretty cool.
yeah. That
It's just part of the universe.
right.
They,
That Terra, Earth, is way behind.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Everything else.
exactly. Yeah.
Cool, but and I guess that's I gotta say another thing I did. I liked the boyfriend story.
He's a good actor too. But speaking of Dodd, after we find out that there's this dark elf and he got the red stone taken away from him from Bohr, and that stone was then stored on Asgard, we fast forward Tarantino to the present, where Thor is now post Avengers, cleaning up. As we discussed, crazy things have happened in the other realms. So then we meet our earthly characters, which is always fun, and it's Jane Foster, who's played by Natalie Portman, Dodd, who is played by.
That's a fill-in. I'm still freaking looking at.
I know. I got a really good fill in there. You were supposed to.
Oh, Chris O'Dowd.
Played by Chris O'Dowd,
Thank you.
who we all love. He's
He
in
plays
a lot of.
Richard. I didn't know his name.
Oh, his name's Richard?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
He plays a small part, but it's very charming.
Yeah, and it's charming, and it plays off really well towards the end. But
yeah, absolutely. Oh my god.
Yeah,
really.
But Darcy interrupts.
Oh yeah.
Basically to move the plot forward.
I'll have some wine. Yeah, I'll have some too. That sounds great.
So she interrupts and forces Jane to move back across it, and then
There's some spatial shit happening.
And that's when she discovers the redstone. She gets power shifted. Oh, that's what I wanted. I made a note about it. So she finds these kids at these.
At this abandoned factory.
Yeah, somewhere in Greenwich in London. Right. And they take a lot of inspiration from the Animatrix.
Right. It seems so direct.
Yeah, there's a space where they lift like a truck without any effort, and it spins slowly in the air.
Yeah.
And they drop a bottle, and it falls through a portal and keeps falling and falling and falling. And then some things don't fall.
Yeah.
Like he throws his keys.
Yeah.
The intern of Darcy throws his keys.
The first time I watched it, I did think that those keys were going to come and play later. I just had the instinct, like... when they called out to the joke, the intern threw out the keys. Yeah. I was like, oh man, that's hilarious that the intern chose what's one thing
and it was the fucking car keys.
And that means that these things are going somewhere. They'll come back later. The intern's going to be a well done scene, a well done integration into the main plot.
Yeah, it was perfect because they're explaining what's happening with the convergence. These galaxies are lining up. They explained at the beginning with the dark elves, but now they're showing how it's affecting Midgard. Which is our awesome realm, okay realm.
Yeah, because all of the realms intermix and all locations exist in
same space and time.
Which is cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. But Miss Jane Foster touches said stone because, why not?
Curious.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's some...
I like that she immediately wondered that it was Loki. When she went into the realm, when she was transported into the place, she said, Loki! Like she was.
Oh yeah, that's actually that's funny.
Yeah,
she assumed it was the tricking wizard prince.
I thought it was a little bit of depth to the scene.
And I wonder if there's some symbolism there to Adam and Eve. The woman seeking knowledge searches out for a red apple, which is in this case the red stone, and then thusly becomes infected with knowledge. Yeah, and they do a cool thing where it starts raining after she portals back to. London, Greenwich.
You know what? That is very...
I just noticed it. Like, just started thinking about it now.
Son of the God has been, Jesus, obviously, but, Jesus was, I think, in a way meant to emulate or take the role of a famed god at the time, Hercules or Thor.
Yeah.
Both sons of gods that were...
of high esteem and power and prowess, or
they took...
godliness.
Oh, Hercules was tied to mortals. I think Thor cared for mortals in a weird way
more so than Odin did. Oh, you mean in the mythology?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying, Jesus kind of took that role, And so I really like your red apple and the girl
Redstone seeking
relationship.
knowledge,
Right.
from the serpent.
It's interesting. It's interesting. It's I hadn't thought of that until you brought it up. It's something that
Adds some depth to the movie for you. A couple layers there.
The previous seeker of the red thing, the dark elf Malekith, wanted to obtain it so he could bring darkness to all the realms.
Mm-hmm.
And the downfall of the casting down from Eden. It's
there.
Hats off. Good recognition.
One thing I didn't like was that they didn't explain how Rainbow Road was fixed.
They didn't.
He smashes it at the end of Thor 1, and then he shows up in Avengers without ever. We don't go to Asgard.
It seemed like such a big deal that he broke it. Like it was such a sacrifice.
Yeah, we got repairmen for that. We got ceramic guys on deck.
Force is very handy.
Yeah, he probably just went over there and looked at it and it repaired. I mean, it's magic. And it's comic book magic.
I'm pretty sure that the whole floating city in space that is Asgard exists because of
Thor Force.
No, well,
I'm sorry,
Boar
Force.
Right.
Sorry, I'm sorry. The originator.
I gotta say, Odin really didn't go with the naming theme, but yeah, like it's called the Odin Force. But I think that maybe it was a transference from the Boar Force, what was before him, to the Odin Force that is maintaining Asgard. I think that's
rainbows and happy thoughts and
because when Odin
butterflies.
decides to die in Ragnarok, he decides to die. That it was his time. That he didn't want to face his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
What an ass.
Yeah, for real. Oh, there's threats coming.
Very godlike move.
Later. Yeah, it's true. That's true.
But
he comes back for advice later. Gives him some advice.
Yeah. Very Yoda-like.
Very Yoda-like.
It's weird. Thor doesn't inherit anything like a cosmically pervasive matter manipulation force that Bor and Odin must have had, because Odin had
maybe Thor's the adopted one. Oh, maybe they're both adopted.
I think that
his wife is
I think
Frida.
The MCU's ultimate prophecy and how it turned out was ultimately Thor resigning the furiosity and the insurgents that were the insistence that Bor unleashed upon the galaxy. Apparently, the galaxy was infested with all sorts of chaos and monsters, and Bor put on and instituted some kind of order that brought upon Odin and his, I would say, what it appears to us is the peace in the Nine Realms, the lack of chaotic, terrible monsters killing everybody.
Yeah.
So it's brought on this peace, but Odin, who I would guess that Odin has temporal knowledge, that he is almost omniscient, because he has the ability to cast down Thor and say, if you prove yourself, you can have your strength back. It's because he knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But he has instincts on what's going to happen.
I was going to say, if anything, he's got strong instincts, because he wasn't able to foresee Loki betraying them.
Absolutely. I agree, yeah. So you're right. Better tempered my statement. He has instincts, but his throne is contested between Loki, the guy who wants it too much, as it's said in this movie, and Thor, the guy who doesn't want it
at all.
He ends up turning it away. And by the end of Odin's life, he ends his life without naming a successor.
I think Thor fall into it, though? Yeah, he assumes it.
But I don't know.
Because he's the true son, and
there's no ceremony. I won't say that he doesn't say, Thor, it's all up to you now. I pass on to you to Odin Force. There's no moment in which Thor's like, oh my gosh, the Thor Force!
Well, I think it's because Hela was back, and she was supposed to take over the throne. She was the firstborn.
Interesting.
So she would have been the original rightful heir, but because of that, Thor takes her out, takes on the throne.
Actually,
Boom.
Surtur takes out Hela. Surtur, the
world ender,
the Ragnarok bringer, right? Yeah. He ends up.
So then
we assume.
I assume, yeah.
Hela,
but
we only see them
Asgard's not a place. It's
Asgard
a people.
blows up. Asgard's
It's not
completely destroyed.
It's not a place.
He
says with crossed eyes.
The former place is now blown up, and now it's Norway.
And now it's Norway.
I gotta say, I'm just saying, the Thor force or the Odin force resigned or is gone.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So it's on the Avengers' shoulders.
I would say it kind of goes back to your Zeus to Hercules kind of thing. Like Hercules was immortal, but he had god-like influence and god-like powers. You know, Zeus might have been able to perceive time or go to hell and talk to Satan or Hades, whatever. But Thor is more like Hercules in that he is more mortal-like. He, I don't know, spends more time with them. Might have powers of a god, but he associates with them more.
It definitely shows that I don't think everybody but Frigga and his friends.
Isn't it Frida with a D? Or is it Frieza? Like Dragon Ball?
It's Frigga. Frigga.
It is Frigga. Huh.
Played by Renee Russo, who did fantastic.
Yeah, she did a really good job.
I really liked her in the fight scene.
Yeah, she kicked his ass.
Yeah.
Like, majorly.
And her facial expression was...
I didn't like the giant poofball haircut, but I do agree her facial expressions. But the giant halo of hair is a little much.
Yeah, it's a little much. Well,
80s, like 80s workout video. Like if she was wearing a pink... She looks...
Leia?
She would look just as home wearing a pink, blue, like, bright pastel-colored leotard doing a workout video with that haircut as she does wearing a shawl Romanesque toga thing.
Yeah. You know, and I'll say that she doesn't have a major part in any of the trilogy or the show, but this is her largest movie. I would say this is her most important movie.
In the MCU, you mean?
Frigga? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You mean her character as a influence on the story?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would agree.
Well...
Maybe not on the influence of the story, but showing up.
Saving Thor when he goes back. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was big time.
Which
I'm so worthy.
I actually bent some thought to this as to when did Thor from Endgame maybe appear after Frigga's death in Asgard and take the Thor of this timeline's hammer.
Well, Cap brought it back right to when it disappeared.
That's a
so
good point. That's a good point. Well,
there's no loss.
Yeah. It's got to be interesting. How did he get to Asgard?
Well, who?
Thor.
You mean Captain America?
Yes, I'm sorry.
He traveled through space and time.
Oh, cool. That answers everything. Thank you.
I mean, that's what he did.
Well,
they shrank, folded time or whatever they did, and wormholed their way through it.
They can make him appear
anywhere. That's what I'm saying. So Thor in the timeline of Thor going back and talking to his mom. I can't believe we're talking about Endgame in the middle of Thor 2. And so he catches the hammer, right? And he says, "Oh my God, I'm still worthy," and he disappears.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately after that, Captain America. Immediately after that, probably the same second, Captain America shows up, puts the hammer down, and disappears. That's how I imagine.
And then when the other Thor, I wonder where
sleeping, hanging out.
I wonder. What if the other
he was
Thor,
fighting by fist? Like, where's my hammer?
That's what I'm wondering.
For a split second.
Just right?
For a split second.
I don't know.
The hammer comes back to him like, dude, you have no idea where I just was. I just was in Captain America's hand. We just kicked this guy's ass, and Thor's like, I'm so glad you can't talk.
You know, I gotta say, I'll say this. How about this? Wait.
Oh.
No, I lost it.
Okay.
Well, I was gonna suggest something, but then I think I broke it. Wait. So, the only way people have gotten to or from Asgard has been through the Rainbow Bridge, except for in Ragnarok, when it blew up, they left it from a spaceship.
And Loki gets in and out of there, too.
From his own magical means, which we see
is like
a cliff that just has a temporary...
Like a Black Panther kind of fly towards those trees and you'll make it...
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah, I guess.
So, I'm just saying...
Magic of comic books.
That when you were saying that Captain America gets to Asgard because of a time machine, I don't know that it's plausible that they would be able to put in astrological chart figurines.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be like a different realm entirely.
To me, it's like the second star to the left and straight on till morning magic place.
To me, I feel like time travel kind of trumps everything. So you just kind of do whatever you want once you get to that point. Or maybe he just showed up on Earth and set it down on Earth. And Thor recalled it from Asgard and it flew up there. Because that happens in this movie.
That was cool.
Remember when they disappear a couple times?
And then Midgard,
it's like, okay, I got to go to Midgard. So it goes flying up into space. Yeah, that shit was awesome.
Cool.
Maybe that's what Captain America did. He probably just went back to the timeline and just set it down. I liked, like I said, I'm kind of upset that I brushed this off so easily, but I don't think I would have enjoyed it having not seen the rest of the franchise.
Yeah. I definitely.
That's why I really like rewatching this because it's giving me a deeper appreciation for all of them.
The first time I watched it, I did get teary-eyed when Frigga died. It just made me think of the death of a mother, because I mean, obviously, the connection to Thor, and Loki, both of them were distraught.
Very true.
Huge way over it.
Very true.
Though I do say
Loki shows it pretty sadly when he shows up, when Thor shows up to confront him.
Thor.
Yeah, and he's like, "Show yourself, brother," and he he disappears, and all the room is a clutter, and he's sitting in the corner all distraught, and they didn't use him too much in the beginning half of the movie, but.
Though I will say, this is as your copy scene about the Matrix trilogy. I'll say that the scene where the Dark Elves invade Asgard with their spaceships and they breach their defenses, bust through the shields, and start just crashing through into the temple. Yeah,
when the shield drops, the one flies through. Yeah.
Busting through the temple and all those pillars.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me, and then the ship opens and a whole bunch of dark elves
start flooding out.
That was not exactly, but very close to the scene of the really well done trailers, the hype trailers for Knights of the Old Republic. That video game,
the PC game
released by EA, PC game, came out way before this movie, but that scene seemed really ripped off.
That was really cool because it crashes and then it's like the thing opens and then you see a bunch of red lines start forming and all these Sith start flooding out.
A buttload of trouble is opened up in your doors.
In your temple.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
it was an awesome trailer.
It was an awesome scene in this too. I mean, not as cool with the lightsaber effect, but
with little rifles. If they had lightsabers, I would have been happier than Dark. Well, I would have felt it was more of a ripoff, but it would have been cooler.
Yeah, I think they.
Ultimately, it had the same effect.
Yeah, it was
a powerful invasion.
Yeah, it was really, really cool to see.
Luckily, that was the ship that was holding.
That's what I was about to say. It had the leader in it somehow, just like, Deus Ex Machina style. He just happens to be in the one. Because it seemed like they were struggling to get through the shield, and then they destroy. What does he do? He flies in and destroy, or the guy that squashes the senzu bean and shoves it in his stomach.
That was a whole story element that I thought was implied, but yet not really well explained. Well, actually, they did kind of explain it.
They looked cool as hell. That's for sure.
The Malekith put like a thing inside one of his elf friends, and he disguised himself as an Asgardian. And the return trip from somewhere, and then when he was in Asgard, triggered his thing, which turned him into.
Once they imprisoned him.
What was one of exactly. Once they imprisoned him into, exactly. They imprisoned him in the Odin Force walls, but Malekith described that no magic that your enemy can create can
withstand your might or whatever. Yeah,
and so he's able to break whatever Odin Force creates. It hurts him, but he's able to recover indefinitely.
Those yellow walls.
Or he's just, impervious to damage or something, it seems like.
Yeah. He definitely gets a lot stronger once he smashes that shit inside of him.
He turns into this many-horned thing, which I think it was slightly alluded to in the opening Tarantino montage where Bor was fighting the Dark Elves.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them that jumped down. They all like
there were special Dark Elves that were particularly powerful and a threat.
Yeah.
But Bor was able to overpower them. But what the curse represents is the most powerful of their ancient weapons that probably modern Asgardians are just not prepared for. And so that's why this curse guy was able to break through his cell wall, was able to free other inmates that he deemed worthy. He looked at Loki and chose not to free him.
Kept walking, yep. He said, fuck
he
that
says,
guy.
I couldn't even trust this guy, so no, I'm going to leave you in your cell.
Yep.
Or he might have determined, no, you're not truly evil enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't know. Curse doesn't speak.
Nope.
And so he was a particular threat closer to the climax. This movie was longer than I expected it to be.
Me too. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I liked it. I just kind of let it happen to me.
Yeah.
I wasn't particularly
I will say that I felt
involved.
Yeah, right. I think I wasn't involved because I didn't feel compelled about the bad guy. He was one of the first of the generic one-dimensional bad guys.
An Ant-Man bad guy.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of unfortunate. Another thing I think they could have fleshed out a lot better was the whole redstone inside of Princess Amidala. I mean, Natalie Portman.
Right.
I think they could have done like a more like Stranger Things kind of route where she's like starting to go crazy.
Sure.
She was just fine and just kind of happened to be there for the plot. I did like how they got it out of her. They did the whole treachery thing, like Loki tricked Thor and was actually tricking Malekath the whole time. Yeah, I liked how they did that. But they did a couple of scenes where she has like this vision and sees it flurrying in the wherever they are, atrium, and she like freaks out, and then there's, hey, what's going on? And she's like, oh, I'm fine.
Right.
I don't know. It just seemed like they could have fleshed that out a little further.
Because knowing that it's the Reality Stone, I would have liked to say, some of those...
Like, is it sentient? Like, why is she seeing this shit to begin with? That's what my fault with it was. You're showing me this stuff, and I get it that it's inside her. If it's just using her as, like, a vessel, then it's just chilling. If it's sentient, and it's trying to be, like, a codependent sort of parasite, then I get it. Then it's like the Mind Flayer from Stranger Things. Then I can get on with. But they didn't, like... I don't know. I just felt like they didn't flesh it out enough. Like you said, it just seemed like the bad guy. He's just there.
I don't know for sure. It did seem like the bad guy. But I think that the Infinity Stones are supposed to have their own sentience.
They do?
Yeah.
Oh.
I
guess that explains Vision.
They have their own sentience, and they are generally unbiased. So it's based on who's holding them that their will is exacted.
What it is. Huh.
Yeah.
So that's why when Jane gets touched by people that don't want to touch her, she explodes, as opposed to when Thor touches her?
I mean, plausibly.
So I had fault with that.
It's generally unexplained.
But I like this explanation.
So I think that's the general gist that I understand about the Infinity Stones, is they have a sentience, but they're unbiased. So they are viewing the lens of our reality through the wielder of whoever possesses it.
Huh. I like that.
But I would have liked to see like Legion-esque, like the show Legion, or how we saw Thanos later use the Reality Stone. Like if she was trying to explain the quantum generator to the Asgardians, if a quantum generator just showed up next to her.
Yeah.
Like that. That's what I'm talking about.
That would be cool.
Right. I mean, that would just be a side effect of being in possession of a thing that can...
change reality.
Enables you to change reality as you see fit, which is
so cool.
Which is
so cool,
befitting this as a really dangerous.
Yeah, especially in the hands of.
Need to be protected by a vault type weapon.
Yeah.
Which I would have liked to see something, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
That she just seemed like confused, maybe high.
Yeah, exactly. Like, really loopy, just kind of, like maybe half drunk or hungover half the time.
Right.
Or sleeping the other half the time. Which, towards the end, once they basically figure everything out through science and magic. And, we didn't even mention Papa Skarsgård. He goes nuts. in the beginning of the movie.
The big naked
he runs to the Stonehenge.
Stonehenge, right?
With his pants off.
Which the
naked.
devices we later see in the finale of the movie.
Yeah, he's running around with those spear objects. Yeah.
And he was saying that he was he was trying to save us because he was figuring out
all these different sites.
I think what he was trying to identify was probably he was zoning in on what Jane Foster ended up running into with the portals. I think that's what he was.
Yeah, he writes down in that book. I mean, it's all on England, but he draws a bunch of sites, and he draws that square or that circle, whatever. He draws a bunch of lines, and it's all on Greenwich.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think is...
One was Stonehenge, one was like the pyramids,
I think that was a pretty good aspect. I think that was a good tie together, but I'll say I'm a big fan of Nando V movies, and to all of our listeners, it's worth checking out. It has some very good points, and Papa Skarsgård could have been used a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, he was definitely just kind of there to explain bits of the plot and for comedic.
Yeah, just like Darcy. It's like a
meow meow.
She's adorable though.
She is so great in this movie.
And how she treats the intern.
It's so like good. Shit until the very end.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, not really like shit, but more like along for the ride.
Another part I liked, Heimdall. When Heimdall...
runs up the fucking...
he gets some kind of...
truss of the bridge.
Right. He gets some kind of glimpse, an inkling, a notion that there's some invisible thing, and he just takes off full running in like full plate armor, running faster than you could believe. And Idris Elba, I think himself is just a large guy.
Oh yeah,
and then wearing that armor and that gigantic helmet.
He's like 8 feet tall,
right? But he just then runs up that cable like crazy, and then the double dagger leap.
Oh yeah,
it was just.
They definitely proved they were like Heimdall's a badass. We got to show how badass he is in this movie. Yeah, he takes down a ship, but unfortunately, it's just a little ship.
One of many ships.
One of many ships, and that's like the one you said that had broken through their shield and the Knights of the Old Republic stolen scene.
Right. Which was cool in this.
Yeah.
Though it is so weird to me that. Again, because of the aerial assault of Asgard and then seeing the anti-air defenses that Asgard has, it makes me feel really weird that they chose to stick with the medieval type of dialect. Like, but we have anti-aircraft.
Right. They're called anti-flying machine destroyers.
Right? Yeah, it's just... Seems a little, but they played it off well. It looks pretty as hell. It just seems weird to see anti-aircraft in the middle of medieval city.
Yeah,
mystical medieval city.
So I noticed the enemies. I just made this note and I'm just reading it now because it's funny. But the enemies have B-wing ships.
Yeah, with
that?
And
the friendlies have ships. There's basically boats that can fly.
Yeah, right.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Those are my exact notes. Enemies have B-wing ships. Friendlies have ships.
Yeah, those are B-wing.
And those grenades. Oh, man, were those grenades so cool.
Yeah, where did
they were like...
grenades send those people?
I don't care. It's so cool. Well, I don't...
It's just...
I do care a little bit. It definitely pulls you because...
Is it
Loki
portal,
almost got?
Or is it like an infinitely like?
I think it just. Yeah, I think you just get densed.
You're just like a particle now.
Yep. You just really you got densed. Yeah, that's pretty dope.
You and everything around you is about the size of an atom right now.
Yeah. He takes Jane Foster back to Asgard after she touches said stone and gets infected with it. And he brings her back there, and Malakath knows that it's there, so they try an assault, which is what we were explaining. Heimdall, runs up the thing, takes it out.
Right.
And that's when we find Frigga get killed.
Such a sad moment.
Yeah, she gets stabbed in the back by the Senzu Bean taking dark elf, whatever that guy is.
Right.
And I've made a funny note. Imagine being the guy that misses on the Viking funeral.
Yeah, right.
I don't think I've ever seen a sketch that has that's elaborated on that. I think that would be absolutely hysterical.
Just give me another moment.
It's a very somber moment,
It's
and
fucking going.
I got the third time's a charm, guys. And it's by that time it's gone. Yeah.
That would be a sad scene.
Yeah.
At her death, I gotta say, okay, Thor doesn't have super speed, but Odin, I'd be surprised if he doesn't have some kind of super speed.
He flew to the fucking end of the Rainbow Bridge from his Odin sleep when he was in Odin Force in the first movie to save Loki and Thor.
So he can appear anywhere in the fucking galaxy when he wants to, if he really wants to.
Yeah.
So
he hates his wife.
He couldn't get through his castle to get to Frigga in time. Odin couldn't. Mm-hmm. Thor couldn't.
Yeah.
It was just... I mean, I understand the necessity for the scene, but it seems implausible that they were just so confined.
To play devil's advocate to that point, I would say maybe she intended that to be the case, because she did use her treachery to have Natalie Portman in the room, and, she made her disappear.
Sure.
She may not have told anyone that that's what she was going to do.
It's weird.
And you know what? How did Malakath know to go there? So he was following the scent of... Okay, so now I'm pulling my own string here. So he was following the scent of the Redstone.
Right.
She wasn't the Redstone.
Yeah, no. Where was she?
Is that part of her treachery? Frigga's treachery? Just Jane Foster was supposed to be, like a hologram or whatever.
Yeah.
Magic.
I'll give it to her.
Okay. Chalk one up to Frigga, the badass. Who's the actress again?
Jane Russo.
Renee Russo.
Right.
Renee Russo.
Renee Russo.
Yeah, so
awesome. I'm so sorry, Renee Russo. I'm so sorry.
I'll chalk it up to her. I don't think she cares. I'll chalk it up to her.
She knows. I'm so sorry.
To Frigga's badass powers. And I also got to mention Stanley cameo number 8.
Yeah.
It was the old man with the shoe.
Yeah. That was good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Loki's death.
Yeah, death.
Yeah.
And then, a couple scenes later, we see a soldier that he turned into earlier.
Right.
Oh, Chris Evans is in this movie.
Yeah.
For a very short time as Loki mocking Captain America.
Well done.
God bless the red, white, and blue. Yeah.
He did so good.
He did a good...
I love Captain America.
I love Chris Evans.
Yeah, right?
Oh, and one more little cameo note. The kid from Witcher. Did you watch The Witcher?
I am still working on it.
What episode did you make it to?
Probably like 4 or 5.
Okay, so the elf with the purple eyes, the black elf with the purple eyes that Yennefer is hooking up with?
Oh, wait.
He's in this. He's in Thor.
Yeah, I did catch that. Yeah.
I was like, oh, hey, he's super young. Look at that guy. The final scene with Thor clutching Loki dying, he's kind of turning blue, and I almost thought that might have been like some kind of, maybe a mention to his frost giant lineage, but I'm not entirely sure. I thought that was just kind of cool. Maybe it's just him turning into a corpse really quickly, who knows? But the scream at the end, it just didn't seem to pay off as much as I thought it would. It was very... He just kind of goes, ah! And then they just kind of zoom in on Jane Foster approaching him, and he's just kind of, clutching over the body. But it was, well done. He obviously didn't die. He's Loki's in later movies, so watching it this time around, it's not as heartfelt and sad because he is just coming back at a later time. But like I said, wasn't sure about the whole skin turning blue thing, but just thought it was worth noting. I definitely made a note about it. So immediately following that, after they leave Loki's body, they're in the dungeon, and they show her and him talking, and she gets the phone call.
Yeah.
And it's
Dowd.
It's Dowd. It's O'Dowd. Yeah, and she's like, "Oh my God, no! I'm so happy to see you.
This
is amazing."
The movie, right?
And she's like, "Okay, no, please keep talking to me." And so he's like, "Okay." He's all like happy on the other end.
Yeah, right.
She's obviously in another realm somewhere.
Yeah.
And you see Thor behind him, like kind of like, who's this guy? Like, who is this guy? It was so perfectly laid on.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
O'Dowd was like, I mean, we never see the O'Dowd's conclusion in this. Unfortunately, it's sad.
Yeah, but yeah, Thor looking jealously onward to a phone conversation between his current beau. It was absolutely hysterical. So you mentioned earlier they found the car keys, or that you thought that would play in.
Yeah.
So she finds the car keys amongst a myriad of other junk that they were throwing through the portal.
Right.
Grabs the car keys, finds somehow the portal that gets them back to where they were in Greenwich.
By following the signal. It was so great.
Yeah, so then she starts the car, and after they hang up on the phone, she starts the car and they start to drive away, and Thor just says, "So who's Richard?" And it's just like, really? Right now? Really? Yeah, so that was all beautifully played off.
It's like that's the seed that I think that grew Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah,
those
comedic, those comedic timing, Man at a Time, like Hamlet in modern day, kind of,
So who's Richard?
Yeah, it was Richard. Really? Right now? Yeah, it was great.
That was great.
And I also had, like, I think the scenes that I'd seen the most were the final battle without any context to any of the previous parts of the movie. So that's why I kind of dismissed the whole portal sequencing, but having gone through it again, I quite liked it.
Yeah.
It added, it made the human characters more relevant in a battle between a god and a dark elf god. Whatever, maybe just a dark elf.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool.
Yeah, one of the things I wish that was better explained is why they all wore Teletubby masks. Like, I was hoping that was going to be
that's
some cool backstory.
This is the way.
Maybe it's that they all really like how Malekith looks, or they all didn't want to go through the Malekith makeup routine. So
you guys, I don't want to look like that. All right, let's get these masks going.
Yeah,
I heard Asgard's got a great ceramics guy. We can requisition. We can requisition some masks from. He's probably sick of making cups, so we got to get him to make some.
Call this Asgard.
Asgard. But yeah, it was weird that they did.
I
wear
love
those
seeing
masks.
the in the portal fight the cars flying through onto some alien terrain like down a hill.
Yeah, just random human shit appearing in different areas.
Some other realm,
but this is where the hammer scene appears. He immediately throws it at Malekith as soon as they land in wherever the fuck they are.
It's some random world.
It's apparently where they were, because Malekith says there's no reason to go looking for it. It's here. After they take Jane.
Oh, right.
That maybe they knew it was Malekith's homeworld the whole time.
Is where the red stuff was?
Yeah. Well,
it makes sense.
No, not where. I don't know now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think where she found the redstone just happened to be a random. She just happened to go.
It was just like the odds.
Random happenstance. Yeah.
I don't know how Boar's
magic works. His Boar force.
People buried it between rocks.
Between two pillars. Yeah, that's
in the middle of a gigantic chamber.
Cool. Yeah, good job, guys. Did a good job. A human found it. Yeah. But, you know how the last Thor, we mentioned the deleted scene with Jane Foster from Endgame, where they spliced in her deleted scenes? Yeah. Could you kind of tell that those scenes would have probably played well in this movie?
Yeah, because she was here. Yeah, she was here in Asgard.
And they have a scene where she's wearing regular clothes.
Totally.
And one of the scenes they use is, do you have pants?
Like, oh my gosh!
What are pants?
Yeah. Oh, and this during the portals, one of the giant four-legged beasts of Jotunheim or whatever,
from the the frost planet,
gets transported to somewhere in England and causes some chaos.
Yeah.
But then the attention gets drawn back to the Thor fight. And hilariously, near the end of the movie, we see that this thing is still loose,
and it's trying to catch birds or some shit.
Which is a perfect, bad guy for the Avengers or any local superheroes in the area. Yeah. Captain Britain at this time.
Job for Ant-Man or Captain Canada.
Yeah, well, this is England, so.
Captain UK or Captain Britain.
Captain United Kingdom, a long name.
Also, in the portal fight, there's the scene where the intern takes a car and saves Darcy's life because she's taking advantage of whatever anti-gravity just happens to be there, and smashes like 5 guys that are going after Darcy. And then they immediately start making out.
Right?
Yeah. And speaking of comedy, when he ends up getting Thor, so the portal fights, they end up getting smashed into the subway. Malekith ends out of there, but Thor ends up standing in front of the Greenwich subway, and it pulls up, doo-doo, and he's like, How do I get to Greenwich? Which way to Greenwich Village or whatever? Which way to the 3 stops that way? And he just gets on. That's like
imagine that
so perfect.
That car ride.
Yeah, so perfect. Kind of ill-timed.
She looks like flirtishly at Thor.
What do they call that?
Admirably.
Swooning. She swoons.
Right. And he humbly takes it.
Yeah, she like bumps into him. Yeah, and he's like, These are these earthly creatures. Yeah. You're all so petty.
I gotta say,
these tiny.
These are the seeds of what they really liked about Thor 2 that they expanded on.
Absolutely.
Because none of that, maybe it was growing into that in Thor 1. I mean, Thor 1, they laid on the Shakespeare. And Thor 2, they kind of started making fun of it.
They sprinkled in some space and they sprinkled in some comedy.
Yeah. And Thor 3,
they're like, that's what we liked about it. Let's just expand on it.
Another thing I liked about it is they while this happened in England, this is an American movie. This happened in England. There was a response from the England military,
the RAF.
Yeah, and then when it was done, they swooped them out like, they're still badass. You know, they were there.
Yeah.
You know, I just think there's respect. You know what I mean? I think that's a nice touch.
Well, yeah, they got sucked into a portal and wound up in Malakath's world. The 2 jet fighter pilots, remember?
Oh, yeah.
They got pulled in there. So at the end, they show them flying out of a portal right at the end of
Imagine those jet fighter stories, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that was better than 10. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So it's pretty crazy. But we end up wrapping up the movie nicely. He obviously defeats the Dark Elf.
It was kind of an anticlimactic end.
Very anticlimactic, yeah.
He just had to try really hard.
Yep, you just try harder. So he denies the throne. He's going to go after Jane Foster. And Loki, what happens to Loki?
Loki has the throne. He is impersonating Odin at the end.
That's right, yeah. So we don't even know where Odin is.
Odin is at the retirement home.
We know he's at the retirement. We know he's at the retirement home. Yeah. But at the end of this movie,
somewhere in between that, Loki swindles Odin
and all of Asgard.
I mean, I want to say this before this end scene because because Loki, as Odin, has Odin's staff, and that's got to signify that Loki has already swindled him and taken his staff because
usurped his throne.
Odin's staff is like Thor's hammer. Odin's staff is like powerful in ways that we don't know. Like it can do a thing. It's probably a more impressive weapon than Mjolnir. Ooh. I just gotta say, no. I mean, it's Odin's fucking staff.
It can summon the Bifrost. I'm guessing,
right? You know what I mean? It has some amazing powers.
Yeah.
And to have Loki be in possession of it, tells me that he's already somehow gotten Odin into Midgard retirement home.
Yeah. Because as we find out in
which end up getting closed down.
Yeah. Did you see the alternate ending that I sent you?
Yes.
The alternate opening? Yeah, that was pretty cool. A little darker, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I like the original opening better. But still pretty cool. But
interesting.
Yeah.
We'll have to bring that up at another time.
Yeah. So at the end, like you said, they show Thor basically tells Odin that he's done. He wants to go back to Jane Foster. Odin tells him, good luck with that. I got a son who doesn't want the throne, whatever. And then after he leaves, he turns back into Odin, and they, boom, cut to credits.
Right.
So you're left...
He turns back to Loki.
He turns back into Loki, yeah. So you're left at the end of 2013 going, what the hell happened? What happened? Right. Yeah, which is really, really cool.
Absolutely. A good way to end it.
Yeah. So
because that's unfortunately key, is though we like Tom Hiddleston as the actor who plays Loki, but ultimately Loki is...
He's a bad guy.
A villain.
Yeah.
It's weird. I mean, yeah, he's a villain.
He's a villain. I'm kind of interested to see what Disney Plus does with how they're going to maintain his... Because he's in Disney Plus, he is 2012 Loki, right after Avengers.
Right.
So he's that Loki. So he hasn't done this.
Right. He hasn't even experienced the death of his mom.
Nope, he hasn't had any of that. Nope. So, and where did he go?
Man.
Yeah, so...
What a cool concept for a show.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah. We see that happen with the Asgardians. And the Earthlings, they basically just show Jane Foster pouting. Not pouting, I won't say pouting. Distraught that Thor said he'll come back. And she's sitting there eating cereal with her friends, Papa Skarsgård and her and Darcy. I'm like, he'll come back. And
it's been 2 years since the last time he came back, but...
Yeah, so this is Marvel's first movie where they do 2 post-credit scenes.
Right.
So after our flashy post-credits with the cool artwork...
We get to see the Collector.
We get to see the Collector from Guardians of the Galaxy, which we don't even know about yet,
Sif
technically.
And the Volstagg.
Beardly man.
Is it Volstagg?
The redhead.
I believe so.
Yeah. They deliver...
Yeah, Sif and Volstagg deliver the Infinity Stone, the red Infinity Stone, the Reality
Stone
to the Collector. The Collector asks, hey, why don't you just keep it in your own vault? And they say, we already have the Tesseract.
We don't want 2 stones. It's unwise to have 2 stones that close to each other.
Right.
And Antonio Banderas, as played by Benicio del Toro.
That's right.
Who plays the Collector.
They both have really cool.
And so does Guillermo del Toro. That's a third really cool Hispanic director. But
actor and director.
Yeah, actor director. So he tells them that I'll happily take it. And as they leave, he nefariously looks into the camera and says, 1 down, 5 to go.
Yeah. I gotta say though. He does look like an interesting person in this movie, in Guardians of the Galaxy, in
Endgame.
No, not Endgame.
Infinity War. And Endgame, technically.
And Endgame. Del Toro, to me, is the same as the guy in Star Wars, as DJ, as Don't Join. A concept, but unfleshed out. Not any real personality into the character. I feel that he's just the Collector. I mean, maybe that's what he was in the comics, but
I don't know much about him. I feel like he's
actually one of the elders, just like what we see in Thor Ragnarok.
That explains his wanting to collect everything.
And his bottom lip makeup, which is consistent with the Jeff Goldblum play. The Grandmaster.
He had one too.
He's got a silver thing, right? He's got a silver thing at the bottom of his lip, and the Collector has
the same thing.
A
black
bottom
one.
lip, black line. It's I think just they're called in Marvel comics elders of the galaxy, or elders of the universe.
Like Stan Lee's character when he's talking to those
were Watchers.
Watchers, that's right.
Yeah, so our galaxy has a lot of cosmic just observers.
Yeah, the Collector seems in this one, in the MCU anyway, like you said, Guardians of the Galaxy in this, he just seems more like a utility more than a character that needs fleshing out.
Ego, which in the MCU was turned into, at least
Peter's father.
He was correct.
Yeah,
and he believes that he's a Celestial. But in the comics, he was an elder. Ego was an elder of, I believe. But they either changed him into a Celestial or they made him believe that he was a Celestial, because his story in the Guardians of the Galaxy is just that he started off as a brain in space.
Yeah.
So,
which is weird.
Yeah, right.
Built a planet around himself somehow and kept going.
So, the second
post-credits scene
after the long running
is a lot of credits for this one. Is you can't even see it at the end there. It's a happy scene. We see Jane look out the window.
Yeah, it's not much.
No, it's not much. Jane looks out the window and we see the Bifrost appear, and hunky Thor comes out and they give a hug.
A kiss. Yeah, as a result of the he's not he's left for 2 years last time, but has my bow left forever for this time?
Nope.
The end scene is just saying, nah, he comes back for a smooch.
Yeah,
but he doesn't do anything after that. They actually break up after this.
Yeah. Yeah, which we find out in another movie. But
don't find out
right after that, we see that creature jumping through the shipping yards, which was kind of cute.
Which I imagine gets resolved by Avengers or some other small entity of superheroes.
Probably some
rising up in the MCU.
what do you call it? The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. probably take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that wraps up Thor: The Dark World, and now we basically start. I don't think there's a single one of these I don't like from here on out.
Oh!
So the next one, which came out a year later in 2014, is called Guardians of the Galaxy.
One of my faves.
Very much favorite. Directed by James Gunn. And that one came out of left field.
I'm so glad James Gunn had come back for 3.
Me too.
I was so worried that he was going to be gone. But so much time has passed since then.
Yep. And they just wrapped up Suicide Squad, so they're going to start filming probably after this coronavirus BS. But probably going to start filming that.
He did a
soon.
reboot of
Suicide Squad, yeah. They just finished.
Is it a sequel or a reboot?
I think. I don't know.
We'll have to find out.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. But yeah, so stick around for that one if you want.
We'll have to do our whole DC universe
At some point.
Series.
That's going to be not as fun, but yeah.
Interesting.
It'll
I
be
think
definitely
we have
interesting.
A lot of cool facts. Intriguing notifications and observations.
I would agree. But I'm Dan S. as in science.
And I'm Dan F. as in fictional.
And thank you for listening. See you next time.
Till next time.
Boo!